G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildcard and thank you for subscribing. Let's have a look at the rugby news for this week. First round of Rugby Championship. First up, we have a little bit of terrible news coming out of Australia earlier today. Earlier this morning. The former Wallabies great Toutai Kefu was stabbed at home whilst defending his family and home from robbers. He was seriously injured in hospital, but the good news that came out later today was that he is expected to survive. So yeah, in case you don't know who Toutai Kefu was, he was one of the greatest number 8s ever for Australia. He won the World Cup in 1999 with Australia, and he won the Bledisloe Cup. He's currently head coach for Tonga. Really, really sad to see. And let's have a look at some of this magnificent man that we used to have in the Wallabies.
Become a true Wallabies warrior.
Did he get it? That's the match winner!
Yeah, baby. Anyway, if you have social media, guys, please send him some support. He's going through a bit of a rough time. His son and his daughter were also injured in the attack. And what's most disappointing is that this was done by children. One of the boy that was charged for murder was only 15 years of age. Yeah, the Australian education system is definitely failing big time here. They allegedly attacked. There was a few of these boys attacked with knives and machetes, and almost gravely injured Kefu, and some of his family members got injured as well. So yeah, send him some support on social media if you have it. Otherwise, hopefully he gets better soon. And let's have a change of pace and talk about some other stuff. So some of the former British and Irish Lions coaches and players sent out this open letter this week about too many substitutions on the bench. And as we've seen, the role of substitution has changed a lot in recent years. They're no longer called the subs anymore. Back when, about 20 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, in fact, maybe even 10 years ago, substitutions were just there to basically for injuries. There may be 5 guys that you guaranteed to run on in the last 20 minutes, and there's 3 guys that sits on the bench who doesn't even get a run, and maybe they will only go on if someone gets injured. That's what the substitutions used to be, because every player is planned to play the entire 80 minutes basically. And then nowadays the substitutions are just considered finishes. Eddie Jones called them finishes, and the Springboks has made famous winning the World Cup with what's so-called the bomb squad, where the players are coming off the bench to make a huge impact strategically and tactically to just overwhelm the opposition. Just with it, just the fact that they only have to play 30 minutes of the game, it allows them to have to train themselves to be more bursty, more put on more size with bit less fitness revolved. So it allows them to hit people harder, bigger tackles. So that's kind of the argument that these guys are going for. I think Eddie Jones did talk about reducing the substitution numbers as well from 8 to maybe back down to 6. As Eddie Jones says that one of the big factors of rugby is about having fatigue, and nowadays you have having so many substitutions, players aren't really getting fatigued anymore. So obviously they are getting fatigued, but not completely drained anymore. So the game comes down to who's got the most power game instead of a fitness game. That's the kind of the arguments that the coaches are making. And they wanted to kind of they wanted to limit the game to just 15 players, what this open letter says, to just 15 players. And they wanted to just have the substitution only there for injury purposes. So yeah, let me know what you think. I think this is a little bit controversial. I do think that having substitutions make it more exciting, make the game more exciting. Like the utilization of the finishing squads is exciting, makes the game more exciting. These guys, I think they're probably a little bit, overly dramatic. They're saying like someone's gonna die, like literally saying, it's only a matter of time before we see somebody dies. It's unnecessary, dangerous. We'll die during the game in front of TV cameras. Like, I don't think it's gonna get down to that in professional rugby. And it's just, I think it's just like these boomers being a bit over. It's boomers just out of touch with the current state of the game, basically. And they just, they really don't know what they're talking about. Like, American football has substitution every play, and you don't see people get murdered on TV. So it's greatly exaggerated by these people. And but let me know what you think. But I do kind of agree that there probably need to be more of fitness involved in this game. Maybe reduce the substitution down to 6, but to just completely eliminate substitutions what if things, right? If you say, you can only take people for injuries purposes, what if players just fake injuries? Like, 60 minutes, the entire front row takes a knee and says, we're done, we can't go anymore. Everybody's cramping. Put on a new set of front rowers. I mean, they're technically injured if they're all just going down like saying they're cramping. Right? So, like, it's just stupid. I just think it's stupid. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Anyway, so there were the Rugby Championship round 1 has started last week. The first game was Wallabies Australia. I want to talk about that a little bit later because there's some stuff that I want to talk about with the Wallabies. But the second game of the Rugby Championship on Sunday morning for me, is the Springboks versus Argentina. This was a very, very clinical performance by the Springboks. The strategy was very, they really executed their strategy quite well. Just constant high ball bombing, constant high ball pressure. I was getting heart palpitations just from holding my breath, watching every high ball getting kicked to somebody. It's just really, really intense to watch. And the Springboks are able to comfortably, quite safely win the game with 3 tries for the Springboks as well, due to Argentinians, I guess, bit of defensive errors. And also the Springboks were just too clinical overall in defense. Argentina didn't look like they could even get over the advantage line at all. The defense is just way too good. So in the end of the day, 3 tries for the Springboks. Hendricks gets on the field on the 78th minute. He's a substitution, injury substitution for Herschel Yanshis for the number 9 position. And he was infamously got a red card for elbowing a Lions player in the Sharks game. Fassi scores a try at 17th minute where there was a crossfield kick to him that went a bit far, but he pulls the ball back in with one hand, goes over the try anyway. It was just amazing. Reinach scored a try in the 13th minute where Argentina did some overly convoluted backline play and they dropped the ball and Reinach gets there. So whatever they try to do, he ended up in Reinach's hand and he ran 60 meters, score a try. Really, really good, well played. And Yanshis was on the field. Kicking was okay, not the greatest. Look at some stats. Run meters are pretty similar, but despite having fewer carries, the 75 to 104, the Springboks are able to walk away with 3 tries. Just instant tries. 22 missed tackles for the Springboks, a little bit higher than they were in the Lions. Maybe about the same in Lions, actually. 19 missed tackles out of 81 for the Argentinians. 46 kicks in play. This has to be a world record. I've never seen this many kicks from one team before. In Six Nations, getting low 20s, mid 20s is already considered really, really, really high amount of kicking. And the media, in the Six Nations, is losing their minds if that was the number coming out of the game. Eddie Jones gets criticized for kicking too much, for literally having 22 kicks in a game, right? It's just this is a monstrous number of kicks in play. And Argentina, in retaliation, managed 29 kicks of their own. And that is extraordinarily high already for Argentina. But this is has to be a world record of some sort. This strategy The 50-22 law was introduced in this game. There was a few attempts on that. Francois Stein almost got a 50-22, but the Argentinian player did touch the ball, so the ball did win out. Like, technically, it looked like a 50-22, but Argentina touched the ball anyway, so the South Africa got the ball back anyway because of that. So, yeah, so they almost got one. So maybe that had played into it. In case if you don't know what 50-22 is, it's basically an adaptation of a rugby league rule, where in rugby league, there's a thing called 40-22. If you kick the ball out inside the opposition 22 from your 40, and then if the ball doesn't go out on the full, so if the ball bounces in field and rolls out inside the 22, the attacking team, the team that kicked the ball, gets the ball back. So this is an adaptation of that. If you kick the ball out from inside your 50, so inside your own half, and if it goes out in the opposition 22, provided that it bounces on the ground before it goes out, you get the ball back for an attacking line out. So that maybe played into a bit of this. The Springboks really tried a few times. I don't remember trying that many times on top of my mind. But maybe that played into a bit of this strategy. Kicking 5 out of 7. I think 2 of the misses for the penalties were from Francois Stein, which was like really far out. So Herschel Yanshis missed 2 conversions and 1 penalty. Not Herschel Yanshis, Elton Yanshis actually. 57 rucks, 82 rucks. It's okay. Lineouts, 2 lineouts lost for the South Africans, 2 lineouts lost for Argentina, and the 2 lineouts that South Africa lost was they debuted a new hooker, Joseph Dweba, who's literally like in tears during the anthems, really emotional. So he kind of like had a bit of a rustiness when he started the game, and there was 2 lineouts that didn't really go the way they wanted. 11 penalties to 13. So overall, yeah, not much running was done, but South Africa were really able to clinically tidy this one up without really suffering anything, and whilst resting most of their key players for, potentially the All Blacks coming up in a few weeks. Anyway, the news coming out of South Africa outside of the field is that Rassie Erasmus is getting a hearing, and there's some talks that there could potentially be they could potentially strip the win for South Africa in the second test series, and that will actually overturn the series for the Lions to win. You know what? What I would say is that World Rugby, I dare you to strip South Africa off the Lions tours series. I dare you. The people at World Rugby have no clue what they're even doing, and just the introduction of the 50-22 law already shows they have no idea what rugby is about, despite overwhelming public criticism for the rugby being too much kicking orientation. The World Rugby is introducing laws that's encouraging more kicking. So it shows you how out of touch they are. So in this case, I dare you to strip South Africa. So anyway, some other things that Rassie could be facing from following his criticism of referee Nick Barry is that he could potentially be banned from being in South African camp. So he could potentially, might not be seeing him as Waterboy anymore. He could be obviously fined. I think there was a little article here somewhere. He could be removed as director of rugby. A fine, a warning, suspension from his ringside duties as the Waterboy. And there were also talks that South Africa could potentially be banned from hosting World Cups in the future, which I thought that was again, I dare you World Rugby to ban South Africa from hosting Rugby World Cup ever again. I dare you, okay? So just do it. I dare you. Have some balls and do it. And but the man himself, Rassie Erasmus, has some friends in New York who are big. Who I think these guys came in to co-own the Sharks in South Africa. So some lawyers who one of the law firms that purchased some shares in the Sharks decided to come in to help Rassie with the case and really try to help him defend this. It's on. War is on. World Rugby, I dare you. You I dare you. So, and also South Africa could be facing like reduced fundings from, or like temporary suspension of fundings from World Rugby as well, which is a bit of an issue because South Africa is struggling a little bit with their finances, especially when the Lions tour didn't allow any visiting crowds. So yeah, it will be a big financial blow to the South Africans if that was the case. Now, the second match of the week, I really don't want to talk about this, but I guess I have to for your entertainment. The All Blacks absolutely flogged the Wallabies with one of the biggest margins ever. Again, every year there's a new bigger margin again, right? And man, just just let me relive this for one more time.
They come, a true Wallabies warrior.
Did he get it? That's the match winner!
Oh, look at that. John Eales didn't have a number on his shirt. I think his jersey got ripped up in that game. Didn't have a number. Oh, God. I had to put a fresh jersey on. Who is that guy with no number? John Eales. Anyway, so the All Blacks really demolished the Wallabies. There were so many mistakes on the Wallabies. There was 2 intercept tries. There was a kick from Lolosio from his own, inside his own 22 to just outside his own 22. That was really poor kick from like literally down the center of the field. It went like 10 meters straight into Richie Mo'unga, where All Blacks scored a try a few phases later. A really, really poor performance by Lolosio all around. Poor tackling, really poor defense by the Wallabies. The 4-pack wasn't doing so well. The scrums were under a lot of pressure in the second half when Carl Tuinukuafe came on, just did a good number on the Tongan Thor, and yeah, a lot to improve there. In the first half, the Wallabies actually did so Wallabies, when the Wallabies were attacking in the first half, actually looked like decent. So the Wallabies were able to, like, despite their stupidity in their performance, the Wallabies were able to put up a good fight in the first half. They did give away so many free points, but they were still able to hang in there with halftime was just 21 points to, I think it was 21 points to, what was it? 13. I think it's 21 points to 13 at halftime. So it was still like in the game, but the second half, the All Blacks just completely ran away with the game. And the Wallabies was really, really poor. There was one point with like the stupidest move I've ever seen in the history ever in rugby I witnessed. So there was one point where Tom Banks, the Wallabies had the ball for a penalty inside their own half. So like around the 40-meter mark inside their own half, right? So they're still pretty far away from scoring a try. And, Tom Banks gets the ball. He looks like he's going to kick the ball. So he's usually the kicker to kick the ball out for the line out. He kicks for touch. So he takes the ball. All Blacks all set up, waiting for him to kick for the touch. He fakes the kick, takes a quick tap instead, and he ran the ball. And then he passes the ball. Wallabies ran it. I think 1, maybe 2 phases later, Wallabies knocked on. All Blacks turned the ball over. Instant counter attack and scores a try. I kid you not. That literally happened. And that's the tally try right there. Literally happened. I could not believe how stupid that was. Right? Like, who came up with this idea? Please let me know. It was just, when he did it, right? The crowds at Eden Park was like, wow. Like, there was an audible, like, ooh, from the, like, oh, like, what? Like that kind of noise out of the crowds of Eden Park, okay? Even the crowd couldn't believe how stupid this was. And, really, really poor. I think a lot of, like, one of the issues with the Wallabies is that, I've talked about this, is that there's so little competition amongst the selection. So a lot of Seals probably going to get another run in the next rugby game. Like, there's no one else really. Like, they're going to put Cooper on. I hope they put Cooper on to give a lot of Seals some time to think about his performance. 3 games against the All Blacks now where he just completely choked. So, yeah, and that's something that's been talked about. Let's quickly go through the match stats and we'll talk about that in a sec, okay? So, All Blacks, Wallabies really ran away with the game, 659 run meters. Only 82 carries, the Wallabies 118. All Blacks conceded 17 turnovers. That is something they need to improve. Wallabies conceded 9 missed tackles, 13 missed tackles. That is world class. Wallabies 20 missed tackles out of only 89 tackles. You know what this means? If the All Blacks are running 659 meters and you're only making 89 tackles and miss 20, it means that there are so many tackles that didn't even like being attempted. The All Blacks were able to get away when play like this. So the missed tackle only counts if there was a tackle actually attempted. So the fact that there's only 89 tackles made means that there were so many times the All Blacks were able to just run away when nobody even attempted to make a tackle. That's why this number is stupidly low, considering the All Blacks had 659 run meters. That shows you how poor this game was for the Wallabies. Kicks in play, 26-25. Lineouts to scrums. Australia got destroyed second half by Tongan Thor, lost a few. Penalties conceded, 9-11. The All Blacks did give away a yellow card for repeated penalties under pressure, so Wallabies did able to do that. Before everything fell apart. So yeah, let's talk about the selections, okay? So the issue at the moment with the Wallabies is that for instance, if there's 5 Super Rugby teams, okay? If you are a starting player in any of the 5 teams, you have more than 50% chance of making the Wallabies squad, because the squad, you have, the starting team, and then you usually have like a full reserve team for every position. So just being in the Super Rugby starting position for any of the Super Rugby teams, you already have more than 50% chance of being in the Wallabies squad. And some positions, obviously, like front rowers, there's 2 in the starting team, one on the bench, one on the starting team. So if you're like front row or something, your chance of being in the Wallabies squad is like almost guaranteed. And then it's almost guaranteed. And so there's and also if you're like a prop or something, the chance of you getting a starting position or on the bench is like almost 50%. Like, in what world does that environment breed good players? Like, it's not mathematical. It's not it's just so, there's no competition for these positions. And seriously, you can just literally get in the team by having more than 50% chance of getting in the team, because you are, because people playing overseas are not allowed to, you have no competition. So this is why there was talks about removing the so-called Giteau law. So, and by the way, this Giteau law, so-called Giteau law, is already a modification of an old rule that Australian rugby used to have. So basically, it's the same rule as New Zealand. You have to play in a contracted to Australian rugby, playing in a Super Rugby team, under contract to play for a Super Rugby team, to be eligible for Wallabies selection. And basically, what this has done is that a lot of the players who play a couple of years for Wallabies, when they get to their 30s, they just leave for more money overseas. And this is just grossly unethical, to be fair, for the Wallabies, because you can't possibly ask a player to give away his financial well-being for his family, his children, and his wife just for a gold jersey, for a national pride, so you can make more money at the top. It's quite disgusting. I don't know how this thing is not it's legal in 2021 in the first place. So then I think it might be 2015 or 2012 or something, they changed the rules so that, again, following a huge loss to the All Blacks, they changed the rules to so-called the Giteau law, where if you play for the Wallabies for more than 60 caps, if you already play for the Wallabies, if you already have 60 caps for the Wallabies, you can be selected even if you are not under contract with the Wallabies. So that's why they brought back Giteau, who was playing in Europe at that time, and he had 100 test caps or something, or 90 test caps or something for Wallabies, and he was eligible for selection, despite the fact that he wasn't contracted with the Wallabies. Still, not great, but better. And yeah, this is just this is the thing. If you, Wallabies should do what South African has done, just let players play, because the Wallabies should, first and foremost, be the best Australian players to represent a country. There shouldn't be any limitation, restrictions on eligibility. It just should be period. You're the best Australian player. It doesn't matter where you play. You're good enough, you'll be selected. And the rule is, and then also so basically what the argument against this is that, oh, everyone's going to go overseas for more money. Yeah, you should be, first of all, you should be paying players more money. If you're financially struggling, you can't pay players more money, then that's your problem. If you cannot financially sustain a business model that pays player the money that they deserve, then that's your problem of operating the business, not the players' fault. You can't just ask the players to put their financials on the line, especially for sports athletes who only has 10, 20 years, maybe not 20 years, like 15 years, maybe 20, if you're lucky, years of your working career to make money that you need for the rest of your life, for your family, for your children. You can't just ask them to waste 10 years of their lives for a gold jersey and underpay them so you can make money, because you're an income. That's just absolutely atrocious, right? Like, you can't possibly do that. But that's what the Australians do, and that's what New Zealand does as well, and that's what South Africa did, but they stopped that. So it's definitely, that's just straight up illegal. You shouldn't be allowed. If you can't make financial sense paying players, then maybe you should consider making more money somewhere else, hire more people to make, consider like better business models. If the NRL can have 14, 15 teams in Australia, and you're telling me that you can't sustain 5 Super Rugby teams, it's nothing to do with the players. It's you not able to run a business properly. That's what it is. NRL can do it with 15 teams, sustain 15 teams. I actually don't know how many teams there are. I think they're more than 15 now. Anyway, and they're perfectly fine to sustain that. And you're telling me Rugby Australia can't afford 5 teams. It's purely comes down to your poor management. And quite frankly, if you can't pay for these players and they go overseas, that's your problem. And this things are going to getting worse. The Wallabies not performing. You're losing more viewers now because the Wallabies are getting demolished by the All Blacks. Nobody cares about Wallabies. You're just getting yourself deeper into a hole. So you definitely have to open this up. Just by pure, morality, you need to allow players to make their money for their future, for their families, and not just dangle a gold jersey as a bait for them to take huge financial sacrifices, right? And also another thing is, I mentioned it earlier in this just before. If the players have no competition, how are you gonna have player get better in this environment? If you have players overseas who's playing well in England, in France, are also competing for the starting 5A position, Lolasea will be a lot better now. Will be a lot better in his performance because he's under more pressure for selection. He's not guaranteed a spot because he play for the second best team in Super Rugby. Just guaranteed a spot for the first 5A position. That shouldn't be the case. It creates more competition, and that actually is going to make Super Rugby better because the players who are here are going to have to work harder to earn their spot for the Wallabies. And it breeds better competition, better players, better better entertainment for the viewers, and it's going to grow the sport. So it's no-brainer. This should have been removed many years ago. And yeah, and if you watch Rugby Australia, is not going to do anything for another year or two. You watch this. These idiots are absolutely clueless at Rugby Australia. Absolutely the worst people running a sports franchise you ever meet. These people are grossly incompetent. I don't know how the board members. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. I can rant about it all day. So the All Blacks coaching, despite Fozzie winning, he's also his contract's coming up. It's not because he had a bad performance. His contract's coming up in 20. So he only had a 2-year contract. So his contract's coming up. So he's up for review. Whether or not he's gonna keep the job remains to be seen. There's talks of Razor from the Crusaders potentially taking over, but yeah, we'll have to see what the decision is. No comment. Next. So finally, following that loss, Australia for, I don't know, this probably one of the lowest rankings ever. in history. So let's see what the rankings are. So Australia falls below Argentina in world rankings. South Africa still number 1. Where's Australia? Number 7. Yeah. So surprised Wales is not higher, and a surprise England's number 3. So this ranking is just garbage, but still, it still gives you some indicator as to how the teams are performing. Like Wales should be way up here because they like won 6 nations. Like why is England came last or second last? How is England like number 3 and Wales is number 9 when they literally beat England at 6 nations? So yeah. Anyway, I said Scotland beat England too. So yeah, I don't know how this works, but yeah, this is just a bit of a joke. But anyway, just something for everyone to be referenced. Thank you for watching, guys. Let me know about some of the stuff we're talking about. And thanks so much for subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate everybody watching, everybody's comments. I read all of them. And yeah, I'll see you guys a bit later this week for preview for South Africa versus Argentina, game 2. And I think this break this week for the Bullet Cups teams. So yeah, a light week of rugby. I might put out some other content in the channel. But yeah, stay tuned and thank you for watching.